Like, boys, the plan is simple. Ron DeSantis wanted to clout shark his way to the top so he can go against Donald Trump. In order to do that, though, he had to be in the media all the time. So one of the things he did, what did he do? Well, he followed Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott's lead, and decided to ship migrants from the state of Texas to numerous places. Now, Governor Greg Abbott was doing this for a while. He shipped and bussed a bunch of Venezuelan migrants from Texas up to D.C., specifically to random and irrelevant places in D.C., like the front steps of the Capitol building. This was, of course, done voluntarily. However, it was done to make a political statement. Greg Abbott's sentiment about this issue, of course, was that blue states, even though Texas is technically, D.C. is not a state, should bear the burden of the undocumented migrants. Now, of course, Texas was famously fighting back against Title 42, the Donald Trump era COVID provision that stopped asylum seekers, a legal action, from actually legally seeking asylum in the United States of America, and they were being promptly and swiftly deported. However, Venezuelans, on the other hand, are have different legal status that other Guatemalan, Mexican, and numerous other Latin American country migrants and refugees do not have. They have temporary protected status as a consequence of America not having diplomatic relations with the country of Venezuela due to America's anti-communist stance. But back to Governor Ron DeSantis. He decided to get in on the action, make a name for himself, as he always does because he's a clout shark. He flew 50 Venezuelan migrants using a $12 million fund that he's put together and flew them out to what he called one of the wealthiest, most elite places, Martha's Vineyard. Now, of course, these guys were completely unprompted. They were lied to. And for that reason, Ron DeSantis is now in a little bit of trouble. There was a Texas sheriff that actually had some words. He said that he was going to bring up a criminal lawsuit against Ron DeSantis. The migrants that were duped, who did not speak English, were also now filing a lawsuit against DeSantis himself. Let's take a look.
Nobody can deny that there's a crisis.
This morning, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis facing backlash for his decision to fly 48 Venezuelan migrants to Martha's Vineyard last week. Attorneys representing some of those migrants filing a lawsuit late Tuesday against DeSantis and other Florida officials, accusing them of a premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme to transport them to the island. The suit, which is seeking class action status in Massachusetts, says the migrants were lured with incentives like McDonald's gift certificates and free hotel stays, and were promised jobs, housing, and educational opportunities if they boarded planes to other states. DeSantis maintains the flights were voluntary and that migrants signed a consent form shared overnight by his office, who responded to the lawsuit writing, "Florida's program gave them a fresh start in a sanctuary state, and these individuals opted to take advantage of chartered flights to Massachusetts."
If 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands?
The lawsuit.
Now, of course, one of the interesting parts about this story is that Florida has a gigantic Venezuelan population. People that have sought asylum in the past have moved from Venezuela to Florida. So the idea that Ron DeSantis is using these 50 Venezuelans as a political tool makes it additionally weird and might end up backfiring on him. Here's the sheriff that also wanted to charge Ron DeSantis criminally.
The lawsuit comes 2 days after a Texas sheriff announced a criminal investigation into the flights, which originated in his state. Sheriff Javier Salazar, a Democrat, says the migrants were lured with false promises of work and assistance. Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker says he supports the sheriff's investigation, but is also urging the Biden administration and Congress to enact sweeping immigration and border security reform.
I'd like to see the feds create an immigration policy that people can understand and people can enforce and people can abide by. We don't have that.
Homeland Security reports illegal border crossings have hit a record high, totaling more than 2 million in the last 11 months.
And on Tuesday, there were unconfirmed rumors a plane carrying migrants was heading to President Biden's home state of Delaware. The White House said it was coordinating with state officials to prepare. Volunteer groups stood by to help. Reporters and camera crews staked out airports, but the plane and the migrants never arrived, landing at New Jersey's Teterboro Airport, appearing not to have any passengers on board. Hoda.
All right, Emily Aketa for us there in D.C. Emily, on that story. Thank you.